recruits.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the DXdao weekly meeting for April 29th at 1500 UTC. Just to recap what this meeting is, every other week we'll have this recap meeting. Last week we had a pretty successful open DXdao community discussion, the first of its kind, and we had that on Discord. And we had a lot of new people, and we had an open discussion with some questions and some answers. And that was kind of like an open forum, which was recommended by the community, and we tried it out and it was successful. So like next week, that's what we'll do on Thursday again. But this call is really, I think of it more as a show. It's every 2 weeks, and it's a way for someone who's following DXdao or a DXD holder from the kind of the outside to tune in, watch this live or watch this as a recorded video in order to like really catch up on all of the different pieces of DXdao and what is being worked on in the different squads and the different products. And so this is not less interactive, and it's more of a content publication show. And updates. And so it gives people this is the one show you could watch every 2 weeks and get a pretty good idea of what is happening in the DXdao world. And so we usually start off with Omen as an update. If Geronimo, if you're here, if you want to give an update on Omen.
Yeah, we are planning a new release today. I think that will be the last release without Omen token and the guild, at least the MVP for the guild. It will include the newest Wallet Connect version. I think that is definitely exciting because it includes like mobile wallet linking. So people who use mobile wallets can actually use Omen on mobile with their mobile wallets. So that's cool. And we finalized the compound integration, primarily for scalar markets on Ethereum mainnet. And it includes like several bug fixes. There, like one example is when people actually sold a specific outcome for a market, they received wrapped DXdao. So that's something we fixed. Right. Tell me any updates for the token economic side of Omen token?
She might not be here, but
oh right.
Yeah, we had a couple additional meetings in the last 2 weeks. Working through the economics of what Omen token distribution would look like, how that could change over time, how DXdao / Omen Guild could have future control of portions of the tokens and what to do with them, and then some also about the mechanics of how staking and the guild can manage curation of markets and what else the guild can do. And so there's lots of interesting ideas moving there, and I guess implementing. It should be a post about the overall strategy up to this point that will be in the forum open for the community, and then that's where DXD holders and rep holders and the community can start giving thoughts and feedback about what has been outlined as of now. And then, obviously with feedback, it's a fully open discussion. Things can be adjusted, and that will be an interesting opportunity for everyone to contribute. And so this is just like an initial best guess at what should be created for Omen Guild and Omen token. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we had several calls. We ratified like a first draft proposal, which will be posted on DAO Talk either this week or probably like with a high guarantee next week. And if there's like no issues with the specification, with the token economics, then we should proceed with like a DXdao ratification proposal.
Cool. Thanks. Anyone, any other thoughts on Omen in general or the space?
I forgot one thing. Omen is using like a very not well adapted, but potentially very powerful token standard ERC 1155. And the DXdao team updated Block Scout, which is like their main explorer, with ERC 1155 support. So that's actually huge news.
Wait, you can see 1155s on Block Scout now?
Yep.
Can you see that on Etherscan?
Nope.
That's pretty amazing. This is the power of open source block explorers, where community can decide what's needed and what can be added, and you don't have to count on a centralized authority to add things to the product. That's pretty cool, though. That's in my mind, that's a huge advantage.
That's huge. Like to be able to just see what outcome tokens you're holding in your wallet is huge. It would be great if we could get MetaMask to also display it in some other wallets. But yeah this is huge stuff, though.
Cool. What's interesting is they did that for the community. I think someone asked if they did that specifically for Omen. I don't think they did, but for example, Matic Polygon also uses Block Scout as their main explorer, I believe. So more and more other non-mainnet EVM chains are getting traction, getting NFTs, getting DeFi. And so the products and tokens related to those, I think is pretty cool that that's being supported for all the different chains. Because if you're an EVM chain, you can't use Etherscan. Like you're not allowed to, basically, if you're not mainnet Ethereum or a testnet. So Block Scout's the option you have, and anyone can contribute to Block Scout. So anyone listening, feel free to propose and contribute to Block Scout. Make it better. Cool. Let's move on to Mesa. Martin, would you like to give an update?
Oops, sorry. Yeah, I have a few updates. So our team structure will change in the future. So Adam, he told me today that he will be around another 10 days maybe, and it's lucky for us, but not so lucky for him because he has to wait for paperwork and stuff and quarantine and so on. So I hopefully he can finish or leave it in a good state. And he's not gone forever. He will be support us because now he's working on a library for the communication from the front end to the like a middle layer library you can use then also in the front end for the investors, but we could also use it for the dashboard we plan for the projects doing IDOs. Then this week I had like a daily session with Nico where we just looked at the smart contract code together. Mostly stuff, he wrote most of it, and we found some minor issues, and the plan is he will finish this, I think, we have another session today, and then we are finished this, and then it's ready for the one daily review from Phil, I guess, yeah. And then, we reached out because we have like one big thing who is missing in the MMP now is the wallet connector. And so we reached out to some dev shops, and there have been some feedback, but we're still collecting the feedback and see what we see. We reached out to, I think, combined like 5. Ethan asked somebody. Chris has like 2 contacts. I asked 2 again. Etherworks because I guess they work for us somehow. I didn't know exactly how this works now. And yeah, that's the state we are. So we still work on gluing the stuff together, and that's more. I had imagined that it's easier than it is now, but somehow it is like this. And we're also using the graph. And I had yesterday have like some thoughts about the graph, because there were like other teams. There was like, I don't know, Omen thought that maybe the graph is over-engineered for themselves, and I came to the conclusion, graph, you don't use the graph if you just only consume data from the if you just consume data from the blockchain one-to-one. I think it's not the best way to use graph. I think graph makes a lot of sense if you aggregate data on the graph, because you can like aggregate data on the graph. And I looked at the Uniswap graph, and there you can ask the graph for a 24-hour average trading and this kind of stuff. So the graph is like computes this kind of stuff and aggregates it, and then you can just use it to show it on a front end. But if you're only just consuming data directly from the blockchain, and then maybe the graph is overhead, because somebody told me at DXdao, I think it's not working with the graph, just use different API. Yeah. So to leverage the graph, I think it makes sense to use it, but then it's really the idea that you also try to benefit from its like power, that you can aggregate data, and not all the projects need this. So yeah, it's just. But because I was thinking, or I also did like changing the graph, what Adam did, our graph, and now we are adding stuff. So yeah, because now, because we have like have some delay, I'm thinking about how we did choose our tech stack and why, and maybe just use graph because it's like a standard, but somehow this decision you make because something is standard somehow also adds like a lot of complexity and work, because I think Adam at least had, I don't know, Adam, maybe you can speak for yourself, how many resources the graph took, maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks or so, or even a month to set it up properly for us.
Well, the first version was like really simple, like 2 weeks of testing, and then deployed on the graph public resources. But the second version, I had a lot of issues with the first one, how it works internally, and we're still having some issues. So, for example, when you want to, let's just generalize the problem. The graph has issues with reading byte data. So let's say you have you're encoding your parameters into ABI bytecode. You would have a lot of hard time in the subgraph to try to decode this. So we actually went back to the smart contracts to fix this. Other than that, you would have to be very careful about your choice of schema data type. So, for example, right now we have like a debate about whether to use big decimals or integers. And then Federico said that we should use big decimals, but then in our case, we actually figured out that big integers makes more sense, because at the end of the day, you're going to pass a parsed GUI. So that's like 18 decimals, and then you will get back 18 decimals on the front, and you just have to parse it and format it back and forth.
Yeah. You see, we have
yeah. So my takeaway from this is, can we stop that echo? Takeaway is DXdao is leveraging the graph across a number of products and leveraging the expertise that we have, and we're probably trying to attract like more graph expertise into DXdao ecosystem, but deciding on when we have to rely on the graph and when we don't, like for example, like DXvote is something we are working on internally, and we're figuring that out, and it relates to all the products that we're working on and additional products we'll probably have in the future. So understanding this is really important, but like the details, I guess we can take more to like product and developer call. So anyway, thanks for the update, guys. I think that's a good summary of Mesa. And now we can get to what is currently one of the fastest growing DEXs in the ecosystem, Swapper. And we've had some cool new features. So if Zet, if you'd like to give an update on the progress on Swapper.
Yeah, I could. Could you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
No, yes?
No, we cannot hear you.
It sounds like you're in a refrigerator, but
Yeah, I hope you're picking out a good steak for dinner or something. We can hear you.
yeah, it's better. Oh, now you went on mute though.
Now we cannot hear you.
All right. Could you hear me now?
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
I just disconnected my headphones.
No, still can't hear you.
For real?
No. Obviously, we can hear you. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm misleading you. Maybe you think I'm saying that it's a bad connection. No, it's perfect.
All right. So yeah, Swapper is moving fast. We launched farming on mainnet. It's a test farming, but it's with real money. So we published that to the community on Discord. So we currently actually testing on DXdao. Meanwhile, we're doing this, we're actually taking the feedback and doing like quick rounds, fixing stuff, adding stuff, and trying to push the MVP out as fast as possible. And yeah, we're doing great stuff with the farming. And what do we have more? I mean, yeah, for farming, there's a lot of stuff on farming, but yeah, it's the MVP should be like ready. We're just getting some feedback and stuff.
So someone was asking in the chat how we kind of let the community know about the test farming. And I think we spread it around in Discord, community chat, and Keybase, but it's not like a publicly wide test. It is on a dev staging link, and it is real money, but it interacts with real Swapper. But we didn't want to like publish it, I think, to like the open toll community. We wanted to publish it to like DXdao followers who could try it out and give feedback and things like that. So I don't think we did like a post about it, but just some community chats, yeah. And there's not too much. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but I think it's fine to share like with anyone you know, or like personally. I think we don't want to have like a wide thing because it is a test, so only people you would know that you would kind of be able to tell this is a test. We're still figuring things out.
There's actually two reasons why we want we don't want to spread this too wide, this test. One of the reasons is because we're actually pushing for the swapper.dev link, which will not be the official link of Swapper. This is our developer testing URL, and it's centralized, and we don't want to push it around. That's the first reason. And the second reason is we want direct feedback. So getting this out to our like inner circle community, which already is giving us feedback, it's our goal. So the goal is not farming and making money. It's more testing it out with real money, testing out with non-DXdao workers. I mean, we've been working on this for a couple of months, and you get blind by working on the same stuff. So getting new fresh eyes on this and getting quick feedback.
Great. Cool. Any other thoughts on Swapper?
There was also a project that reached out on Discord that was interested in setting fees to 0 on a pool for their project. It's called DieBase. They're just in testing right now, but I thought it was interesting to have someone looking for lower fees on their projects pool. So we're in touch with them. It could be cool. They want to set it to 0 fees, actually. Swapper, I don't know if there's any dexes out there with 0 fees on pools, but it could be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will be a cool use case. I think there are other, I think there will be other projects and use cases that want a really low fee or potentially 0 fee market because they have a certain goal in mind, and that could be with their capital, or that could be incentivizing like a certain type of pool for their project. So yeah, it's cool that the fact that they currently can ask DXdao community to govern that fee pool for them and have the ability to change it. The next thing we usually do is governance as like a product that DXdao is working on. There's, I don't think Augusto's here, but there's some obviously continued progress with DX Vote and kind of community contribution to it and a better organization of the documentation and GitHub system in order for people to contribute outside. I think another piece of what I put in governance product is we did get like the initial smart contracts back from BlockRocket for the DXD vesting setup that DXdao would like to implement, and I believe that Blackscale is picking up those contracts, maybe checking them, and also will expand on those, and then that should lead to like also we should get a front end for that, and that's solving a need of like DXD vesting that workers and contributors are earning. That's a big piece of like aligning interest. And so also the HR or contributor experience team is like making sure we have all that in place manually until we get this internal product set up. And this internal product could actually be used eventually by other projects and teams too, I think, which is pretty cool. Anything else on governance product stuff that anyone has thoughts on?
Well, I mean, the other big kind of pseudo governance, park governance product thing is, we've kind of given the green light for a multi-call installation, which would include the Gnosis protocol V1 relayer, Swapper liquidity relayer, Swapper farming relayer, all on mainnet. So we're just kind of waiting for the community at this point, but that was a development this week, and kind of the final piece of the puzzle there was the testing going well on DXdao for the Swapper farming liquidity relayer. And if you're wondering why we have so many relayers, they're basically these intermediate smart contracts that enable DXdao to interact with protocols on Ethereum. So yeah, so when we want to do things with other protocols, sometimes it's necessary to have these relayers. And so like, for instance, the Swapper liquidity relayer, it is actually holding the LP tokens that the DAO owns from Swapper. There's one on DXdao and there's one on mainnet. So this is something that's being, like, if you're wondering what the DXdao treasury looks like, the easiest thing to do is to look at the Etherscan address for the avatar. You see, there's like $50-60 million worth of tokens there, but there's also, in addition to that, a couple $1 million worth of tokens that are held by the DAO in these Swapper liquidity relayers. And then, of course, there's also the DXdao base, which has a few 100,000. But yeah. Also in governance, I don't think Augusto is on this call, but progress is being made on the DX Vote project. And kind of the goal here is to use it first on Arbitrum when Arbitrum goes live. And it's kind of a nice opportunity to exercise and like actually use DXvote, because DXvote doesn't require the subgraph, and with these new layer 2s and also kind of the same thing with sidechains, like it's going to take a little while for all of the tooling to kind of get up to speed, and like removing that extra requirement I think is going to be helpful for us when working with Arbitrum.
Cool. And I guess that moves into kind of governance squad or governance Wednesday meeting. If Chris, it's related to the products of governance, but there might be some bigger governance topics. Chris, if you want to give an update on that meeting.
Yeah, I always like discussion, like more
Discussion,
meeting,
yeah.
governance discussion, as if it's some. Yeah, so a couple proposals on mainnet that have just been boosted and kind of sent the last week. They're all related to kind of a little bit of backlog we've had since we needed to deploy a new E3 layer to receive funds into the multi-sig. So the first one is the redo of a 400 ETH deposit into Swapper. That's actually split into two different proposals. The first one is a 5 ETH one to test out the E3 layer. So that will be converted into 5 pairs. And so that's actually like $1 million. The 400 ETH, I think, almost is now. So that'll be headed to Swapper on DXdao. I guess ETA is in like 9 days, I think, after it'll have to go through the DXdao governance process. And then there is another proposal that I just created last night that is to transfer 100 ETH to the DXdao base for just operations. And this one is split 50-50 between DAI and USDC so that people can request USDC there. And then that's it mostly for mainland proposals. And then, yeah, there's a lot of great things going on DXdao, a lot of worker proposals. There's the slashing the full rep of the attacker. I don't know if that's passed, actually. It's about to go. And then one for quellcode. And then, yeah, I think that was it kind of for the proposals. And then, yeah, actually just today, before the meeting, sent a Signal proposal to try to get Signal on initiating the DXD buyback. So there's this is something we've talked a lot about the last couple months, and we wanted to put some documents together that would kind of outline the intentions going forward. And so then this will be similar to how we do the Treasury authorization proposal, how this is a proposal that is like us as a collective, as a community, agreeing to kind of take these steps going forward with the Treasury, and then it's up to the community from there to submit the proposals, submit the trades that would fall in lines of the conditions laid out in the Signal proposal. So I think the plan is for that is to be, so it's posted today, and we'll talk about that next Wednesday at governance discussion, and then probably move to do that in a formal proposal after that. And then there will be a separate track for the actual trades that we'll need to wait for the new multi-call scheme to be installed. And then, yeah, I think that was it. I don't know if Melanie had anything else in like contributor UX or.
I didn't really have any updates, except we are going to be meeting with Position today to kind of kick off the process for finding our next marketing lead. So I'll have more updates for everyone very soon after our call today.
And also, maybe I could add something to this. I think I owe it to everyone because there's a bit of a silence after Melanie and I had the meeting with the marketing lead candidate. Basically, what scared her off was the proposal procedures, and maybe it is something for us to consider. Maybe a way of us thinking of a contract. Like sometimes companies hire someone for a 1-year contract, or maybe if someone is on a maternity leave. So we could think of something of that sort, just in case, as an alternative if the candidates that Trey finds us are not comfortable with the proposal type we used to in our organization, because it could be a problem.
Yeah, and part of that is, it's a good point, and I think part of that is that where we are right now, and like how can we find someone that fits into where we are right now. But I think long term, that's one of the reasons I like the contributor UX name, because I think we're trying to strip away as much of that baggage and like difficulty and obstacles to actually, working for DXdao. We're trying to strip that away as much as like Ethereum and blockchains are trying to strip away all of their kind of clunky problems of interacting with it. So hopefully we can like make that a smoother process in the long term.
And I think
400
people,
ETH is worth 1.1 million.
Is that 1.1?
Also on contributor experiences, I think contributors over the last couple weeks are getting a feel for some of the additions that the contributor experience team has implemented in terms of like staying on top of people with their proposals and recaps of last proposals and future needs of importance of putting in your next future proposal and things. Some people think it's a bot, but I think it's not a bot at this point.
Related to that, I think the actual governance bot may not be working. I had to boost 2 proposals.
On mainnet,
But
or
that
on
is actually
DXdao?
a bot on mainnet.
So there could be a bot that's out of money on mainnet.
Yeah, it might be out of money. I think Nico is here. Like Nico was kind of like he knows the ins and out of that, I think.
Hey, I can check it. I don't know as of now what it is, if it has funds or not, but I can check it out.
Cool. And I think there's been some progress where people on XDAI or contributors or rep holders on XDAI, there's been a handful of people making sure they have the same amount of rep on XDAI as they do on mainnet, which is important because most of the voting is happening on XDAI. So we wanted to do a little push to make sure. I mean, it would be nice if all 500 rep holders or whatever had the appropriate XDAI rep and were participating more in votes.
Related to that, I mean, I didn't mention this, but the swapper farming tests that we were talking about before the call, what was exciting about those was those actually required 2 different proposals to do on XDAI, and we reached absolute majority on both of those. And like the second one was kind of crazy because it literally was timed because like the swapper campaigns like have a certain time to it. So it's like you had to get it in before midnight. And I think it was literally within an hour of submitting the proposal, we got that. And so it was kind of fun and a good way of showing like having active participants on XDAI and yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that too, because I think there's a kind of a popular narrative that DAOs are slow. And yes, there is like a process to consensus, but I think like DAOs don't have to be slow at all, right? Like I think when something is kind of evidently good for the community and consensus comes quickly, like things can also move pretty quickly.
Yeah, one comparison, which I think Chris started originally, that I've used a number of times with a researcher and then also with some community members, is passing a bill through like Congress is what a proposal is, like from the early steps to the passing. And given that it's, if you imagine the global government across all countries, DXdao is way more efficient and fast at passing a global bill through its governance process than a global government system would be, which is pretty cool. So,
and of
moves
course,
fast relative to that.
We're doing this only in the interwebs, right? It's like,
yep, nothing in person yet. Maybe DX Lisbon offsite soon. Cool. Nylon, you are now back and you ran the DX Biz call this Monday. Would you like to give a brief update?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I was eating. Not used to eating in these hours of the call. Yeah, so we had in the BizDev call we had a few introductions by Francesco and Jordan. We did talk about DX Ventures. I guess we'll touch more about this, and I think there are other updates that have happened over the last couple of days. There was like a call with Greet, and we are moving forward with Opolis. what else we're talking about? Sort of like the governance or compliance issues with that. Like that actually came from HATS, because HATS are kind of requiring a KYC for investment. HATS is, I'm personally fairly involved with HATS, so so that's just out there. But they're doing a fundraising round right now, and they need KYC in order for someone to be able to invest. So that's that. We did briefly chat about the marketing communications, and Keenan, yeah, he already shared the documentation book. If you haven't seen it, really go ahead and do it. And yeah, we also talked about like L2s and side chains and stuff like that. I proposed kind of like, I don't know, Solana or any of those things, but it was kind of shut down, which is fine. It's great to like discuss these things. And yeah, I guess we are waiting for Arbitrum, and that's what we're sort of doubling down on, right? And yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Cool. Just to go a little bit deeper on DX Ventures and the immediate opportunity, which is in the forum around Opolis, which would be the first investment of DX Ventures and contribution. There is an active member who's raised some good questions, like this discussion on like DX Ventures and what the point of it is, and how to frame DX Ventures in a world. I posted this morning like how I kind of interpret DX Ventures, and I don't actually interpret it as a like professional team doing venture capital investments full time. I picture it more of an open experiment to see if a decentralized global collective can run a venture style investing smallish experiment in addition to its core goals, in order to help build and attract the types of products and systems that DXdao as a DAO needs for the future, and then other DAOs will probably need as well. And so I don't think we're ever going to be as strict as a professional VC firm when it comes to opportunities that we're looking at, but all good questions, and everyone's got a different perspective. But it's an interesting discussion, and I don't know if I think we should refine these ideas like over time as we take advantage of more opportunities and do investments in things. I don't think we're going to figure that all out before like some immediate opportunity is available. And so I think this first one, there's 2,000 DXD and rep holders out there. And if a majority of them think, or, some speak up and think this is a good idea versus it being a bad idea, like moving ahead with it makes sense. And then we can learn from this one, and we can also improve the process and make better, smarter decisions and have more clear understanding of what the goals are moving forward as well. And it's a relatively small amount of DXdao capital that's being allocated in these certain opportunities. And in this one case, there's a unique situation where DXdao gets a better deal if there's additional capital. There's if you have higher capital, you get better terms. And that's very unique for investment opportunities, I think. And so there was a scenario where DXdao core member workers, contributors who are getting paid by DXdao had the opportunity to invest alongside in order to get better terms for the overall pie. And yes, that does, you could look at that as conflict of interest. You could look at that as benefiting DXdao and DXD holders all together. And so I don't know what the answer to that is, but like it could be cleaner to not have that additional capital, and just DXdao would just have a worse terms and worse deal, but it's a first one and test, and it keeps it cleaner and less conflict of interest maybe. Or we could keep the capital and try to get the better deal and learn from that as well. So don't know what the answer is, but the forum's discussion's open, and the timing is relatively immediate because Opolis is like already live with their fundraising and launch of their token and things like that. So this can't take, if it takes weeks to figure this out, we're going to miss the opportunity. If we move ahead like very soon, we can take advantage of this opportunity. So that's just some additional background for people to think about and discuss in the forum, and then hopefully move ahead and we can continue discussion while it becomes a proposal as well. But yeah, that's a summary. Next would be marketing communications, and we kind of covered contributor experience already. So Keenan, if you just wanted to give like a high level, like non-detailed, maybe brief overview of like what we did around marketing communications this past couple of weeks, would be great.
Yeah, awesome. Wait, one sec. I tried to talk and then I got disconnected.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just want to say that there is an open, like Sky mentioned this, but there is an open DX Ventures grant investment to Opolis thread on DAO Talk, which is great. And then, I am KMKM basically commented or criticized some of these actions. And I think this is actually wonderful. I think a lot of contributors actually joined DXdao from these kind of critical or criticisms, or they don't agree with something. And yeah, we should learn from that. And I think if we talked about what do you call it, conflict of interest, then I mean this is really good things to bring up, and I think we can amend these things. And I think Sky and others have already mentioned the different ways that we can actually reply to this criticism without hurting the fact that we can get a better deal if individuals will join. So I encourage you to guys read this thread, and I hope to get the guy who made these comments to introduce himself in the BizDev call. So yeah, that's just that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. I'll take over
Cool.
with a little brief kind of recap. As you said, Sky, we had the first community call last week formally with a POAP. It was very successful, and we're going to continue doing it bi-weekly. And we're exploring kind of segmenting the call with potentially like a presentation style, product roundup at the beginning and open quorum at the end. So there's a little bit more structure to it. But beyond that, it was excellent. As far as Anshakasa goes, me and Zet worked alongside them. We altered and created an additional mood board. Although I think we're on the normal path for brand identity and discovery, we do quite desperately need the landing page. So we're treating this as a final rendition iteration. If we can't find anything we're happy with this time around, we're going to move forward with our current branding for the landing page revision. I think Nylon mentioned it, but the documentation review copy went up, I believe, Monday. First impressions were very, very positive. I've been keeping track of all the feedback on my own end here, and we'll be working on it within the end of the week. Anyone that hasn't seen it yet, feel free to join us in the documentation book channel on Keybase. There was also some very early discussion on a potential DX forum. Currently, we're using DAO Talk, which has some issues and lacks customization and doesn't really speak to DXdao. So I'm in the beginning kind of stages right now of planning a potential, hopefully fully decentralized rendition of our own forum, a DX forum, maybe, which obviously brought back some discussion of backing up DAO Talk as it is currently and what we can do in that category to keep our history. And I guess the last kind of bigger point is me and John had further discussion with the Vietnamese team, Bitcoin. We're looking into having a test engagement to judge the effectiveness of them and the Vietnamese market. Obviously, our first priority should be, what we're local to anyhow. So this is being treated more of like a test to see its effectiveness. Also, we're considering a marketing communications multi-sig, so we can move a bit faster on initiatives like this, not just overseas, obviously, but in general. Cool. Yeah, I think that's all the major points from us.
Thanks.
One other thing is,
go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, one other thing is we also had a meeting with another design firm about working on the Omen landing page, and they are putting together a proposal. They have some crypto experience and even prediction market experience doing some design work, so that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Good catch. Thanks, John.
Yeah, and then just a little more on Keenan, the last point about like a marketing and communications squad having a fast-acting multi-sig. I think there's more, and this could be a sub-DAO. This doesn't have to be a multi-sig, but like multi-sig is easier to start with. But having a marketing budget, let's say 50K, approved and sitting in that squad's treasury with certain goals, certain types of actions that it's already known this will be used for, and that could be like awards in our community, that could be raffles using POAPs, that could be a $5,000 experiment with Bitcoin Vietnam, but being able to have already approved and assigned responsibility for a certain amount of money to be used for certain types of things, and then have a smaller squad, like fast acting, making decisions on that, because not every marketing decision has to be like approved by the DAO. So doing it in chunks like that and having an amount allocated for those specific reasons, I think is super useful. That could be for bounties. We could have another one for dev bounties as well. But pre-approving those things, I think could be a better way to do it than like having to do individual proposals every time. Anyway, cool. So I think that's all the things we've covered on the agenda. If there's anything else, yeah, Chris?
Yeah. Well, just as a preview of tomorrow's, I think we should, for product strategy call, there was a forum post that's kind of like related to a bunch of things. I don't know if this is a proposal or not, but with the success, I think, of the swapper farming test that we've been doing on DXdao the last couple of days, I think the next step is putting a larger farming campaign in place for the upcoming launch of swapper beta. And so there's interesting discussion there. There's some polls, things to take. Just kind of a couple things from what to put in perspective from my point of view. I think it would be good to do like smaller targeted campaigns, right? So we have like specific things and we can just run these out in proposals. So like instead of having 1 3-month campaign, have 4 3-week campaigns. And then secondly, I think we should think about mainnet, but I also think we should think about mainnet in terms of support. And just as like I think we should consider using DXdao liquidity and depositing more DXdao liquidity in mainnet. And there was not as much support or enthusiasm for this a couple weeks ago when we had posted a forum post. So yeah, we'll chat about all these things tomorrow on product strategy call and try to figure out the best swapper farming beta campaign.
Awesome. And I think another call to action I would like to throw out there is that I think one of our most exciting products is Omen, right? And I think prediction markets are an exciting use case for crypto, but like, what are the best use cases for that? I think we need ideas. And if you have ideas on, where prediction markets could be used, where, new users or markets could be reached, like, I encourage you to share that because it could be really helpful.
Yeah, I actually think, and we've talked about this, and I actually talked about this with Jordan, who joined the BizDev call a bunch, like in real life brainstorming. But for sure, there's immediate use case with like bounty style markets, which is kind of like the KPI token for that UMA did, and it's sort of like related to conditional farming. But like there are a whole number of cases where all of these projects could easily create markets that are incentive based and give out those yes tokens for whatever that action is. And I think that's like almost like a B2B use, right, for Omen markets. But like if that brings people to Omen because they have a token that could become worth 1 X token, like that is a great immediate B2B use case for Omen. And I think you can, and the cool thing about that is the liquidity is provided by the project who has the goal. And so we could put more of a framework. It'd be awesome for DXdao to like lead with that and do one for itself, for its own initiatives first. But I think once that happens, I think you can do that with a whole bunch of projects out there because it's super easy actually. So like that's an example of another use case of Omen, but there's probably lots of ones around insurance or bounty or bug bounties and things as well.
Yeah, and just to be clear on that, like Omen and like the conditional token framework that backs Omen has the ability to like chain things together, right? So you could have 2 questions and you could have one be conditional on the outcome of the other. And that, yeah, I mean, that's potentially really powerful, but yeah, a lot of room for creativity, I think.
I can't wait to see these 1155s on Block Scout. It's amazing. Cool. Well, that was bam, 12 or not 12, 1 hour, perfect timing. Thanks everyone for coming, and see you on the open community discussion next Thursday on Discord.
See ya.
See you guys.
Take care, guys.